So you know from the previous video what are the best sponsor cards, but what are the best animal powers in Ark Nova? Let's start off with some of these owls. These give you Perception 4, which is a brilliant card power. One struggle in Ark Nova you may potentially have is getting cards into your hand and keeping them. With discarding cards between breaks and all that sort of jazz, having cards in your hand is really useful, and both of these are going to allow you to gain 4 cards from the deck and keep 2 of them. Let's be honest, at least 2 of them are probably not going to work with your strategy. So you're getting choice as well as cards into your hand, so what's not to love about Perception 4, and particularly that cute barn owl? Kiosks and pavilions are brilliant little additions to your park. Not only will kiosks give you money every break, and pavilions help you bump up that attractiveness, they're really important for filling out your park. Maybe allowing you a better placement for that next enclosure, or just covering that last bit to get the attractive bonus for filling your park out. These are all great cards for getting a free kiosk or pavilion, with the Scarlet Macaw being ideal, giving you 3 of them. That's a lot of potential money, or even 3 attractiveness that you can get from just playing this card on top of all the benefits it gives you elsewhere. Next up we have Determination. Now I would suggest that the best one of these cards is probably the common European adder, because it's the easiest to play. You don't need level 2 on your animals card, but the power itself is amazing because you can effectively interrupt the flow of the game by performing an additional action. To put this into context, there's cards that allow you to move cards in your row back down to number 1 just to sort of move your cards around. Now this allows you to do that for free if you really wanted. You could take that 6th underused action of move a card back to number 1 on your power level and take an X, one of those plus tokens. Or you can just do another turn, another action fully, and it could allow you just to get ahead that teeny bit. Being slightly cheaper to play, the Fennec Fox is probably the better of these 2 cards, obviously depending on the different objectives in play. But Clever is a really good use for shuffling those cards in your action row just to get the ones you need that little bit higher up. So you're already putting animals back down to level 1, but maybe you don't need that sponsors at level 4 and you're trying to bump up maybe your association that little bit more, and this is going to allow you to do that. And that's why Clever is a brilliant animal power. Filling out your park with lots of expensive enclosures is going to get you attractiveness and plenty of room to place things. Sometimes money can be tight, and flock animals is a phenomenal power to get around this, because you can just use an existing one if you've actually lined things up correctly. Just make sure you've got a herbivore of the right size, and one of these flock animals can just sit right on in there with them, not needing you to take the build action or spend that valuable moolah. As I suggested with the Perception animal power, snapping is also another great way to get cards into your hand. And importantly, if you use the Nile crocodile, you'll actually be able to do it twice, including replenishing the market. So you could see what that next card is before your next choice. It's a really nice way of just getting, hopefully, some good cards into your hand, and obviously you're playing the animal, so you can kind of time it, so when you see a good thing in the market, you can get this animal down out of your hand, gaining you all of the nice benefits of the attractiveness, plus gaining you some cards to maybe line up your next play. The Sun Bear has a fantastic power because it can link things perfectly, of you getting the right symbols, the right icons that you needed, and getting that association action in. So first of all, you're going to be playing the Sun Bear, so that is going to get you some attractiveness, and it's going to be moving your association at least up a step as you put animals down to power level 1. Then when you finish the current action, you perform the association action. So you're going to send one of your I like to call them Steves, off to the association board. These could even then be using, say, that bear icon to do a conservation project. So you can really combo that nicely, depending on when you play the card. And even in earlier rounds, when you might not be doing much conservation cards, it could still get you maybe that partner zoo, or that university, just ahead of other people. The New Zealand fur seal has a absolutely brilliant power, as I suggested in the overpowered sponsor cards video. Definitely go and check that out if you haven't seen it. Getting all of your association workers actually out can be a little bit of a tricky one, if at 2 conservation you always want to turn over a card. So having the full throttled ability of giving you an association worker for playing this card down, well, it does make sense that it needs a level 2 animals card to be played. But at a free association worker, sign me up. It might not be the cheapest or easiest card to get played, but the Indian Rhino has Assertion, and this is a phenomenal power because it allows you to look through the stack of base conservation projects that weren't used in the game and pick one that's working with your card strategy. Maybe you've got a load of birds already played, but unfortunately the base bird conservation card just wasn't in play, but now it could be. It's a really cool way to get something extra out of the cards you've already played. And it's a pretty cool animal. And last but not least, there's something super frustrating playing against someone that plays one of these 2 cards, because Sponsor Magnet can be incredible if played at the right time. So yes, it's a little bit situational because you're going to get all sponsor cards from the display added to your hand. Now if that's just before a break, it's not the best because you're going to have to maybe discard, but if that market is full of say 3 or 4 different sponsor cards, you gonna snap all of them all up potentially just before an opponent was going to be trying to get one. And that can really throw some spanners into people's plans. So there you have it, a load of amazing animal card abilities. Make sure you go and check out the video on overpowered sponsor cards. There's a top 10 and a few honourable mentions there. And check out other news reviews and such on the channel.